Pack it up, pack it in. Let us begin. Coming to you live today from the beautiful Bill Austin Radio Studio here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. I'm not in the Bill Austin Radio Studios. What a great start to the show. We're up here in the sixth floor edit bays instead today, not over in the third floor. They were all Phil, all these the Cronkite goons coming out here, suddenly getting projects done here. Finals week, getting ready to go. I'm AJ Gonzalez with Trevor Cox, Sebastian Fryer, the usual crew here of the 3 for 60. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this? I always say majestic. I always say marvelous. I need an M word to go with Monday. Maybe someone here could help me out.
It's Magical Monday.
Magical Monday. I like
There
it.
we go, man. I'm having a good Monday so far. Cannot really complain. Just nervous for the Avalanche game tonight for sure.
Amen. We'll talk about that later. Yep.
Hey, Trevor, your sports teams are definitely into quite some battles so far, the Nuggets and the Avalanche. So I'm praying for your heart, Trevor. Hopefully it survives by the end of the week. But NFL draft just wrapped up. Obviously, NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs are just heating up. Champions League returns this week. So some good sports on tap this week. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start it out. We'll start with the NFL draft. Here's what we're gonna do. Actually, I'll go through the agenda first today. We're gonna hit on the NFL draft. We're going to give our 5 winners and 5 losers. On Friday's show, we will break down each team and give them our official draft grades. So we will be doing that Friday. Today, we'll be just doing 5 winners and 5 losers for each of us. We'll also hit on the NBA playoffs, where things are in the first rounds of their series, NHL playoffs, maybe some MLB thoughts sprinkled in there, maybe a little soccer. Liverpool just won the Premier League, so maybe we want to talk about that. And all the other things that sports provides us here on this beautiful day in April as we end it almost. Right, we're just about right there. So let's get right into it, gentlemen. NFL draft. You give an immediate thought that just occurred to you while you were watching the draft, maybe?
I think the immediate thought and the obvious one is the Seahawks had an absolutely phenomenal draft. They hit days 1 and 2 out of the ballpark, and I like some of their picks on day 3 as well. Getting Gray Zabel round 1 was awesome. I've talked about how badly they need interior offensive line this whole entire season. Getting Nick Emenwari the top round 2 is awesome. Elijah Arroyo, and obviously Jalen Milroe. I thought that was a good swing to trade essentially Sam Howell for Jalen Milroe, see if he can develop a little bit. And then I thought the Torrey Horton pick was good. Also, Damian Martinez and Ricky White picks at the end of day 3 I thought were solid. Overall, I think the Seahawks were the big winners and the obvious winners for me at this draft.
Well, honestly, you guys, I got to sleep a couple nights after the Falcons draft, and let me tell you something. Obviously, the trade with the Rams was a little mind-blowing, especially when all 3 of us were watching the first round. But honestly, the players they came out with in this draft class were quite some impressive names. Jalen Walker, I'm not the biggest Jalen Walker guy, but he's quite an athlete. You can just puzzle into that defense. James Pierce Jr., say all you want about him, whether he was worth that trade or not, but that dude is straight up going to come out and rush the passer. I think the Falcons put a big emphasis on finding true, pure pass rushers, and they came out with potentially 2 with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., and look at the safety tandem. That's a spot of the field that they really struggled in last year. They come away with Xavier Watts in the 3rd round and Billy Bowman Jr. in the 4th round. Those could potentially be the tandem and duo of their safety in the future. So
Jesse Bates is still there.
Jesse Bates is still there, but obviously you could use 3 safeties on the field either way. So one of these guys is going to play in the box. So you come away with 4 potential defensive playmakers that are going to make a difference for you right away. Yes, obviously the trade composition for the Rams was probably a little bit of an overpay or a lot of an overpay for some people, but they came away with 4 really good players that I think will make a difference right away for a defensive unit that desperately needed it.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all, honestly. I just definitely, like you said, I thought it was an overpay. It's always scary when a future first-round pick is involved. So.
Yeah, especially when it goes to the Rams. Cleveland, I thought had a great draft. I thought they nailed it on the head. I even like them coming away with both Gabriel and Sanders. Like, if you literally swap Sanders for Gabriel, I like that a lot better than what they did. Honestly, if you came away with 2 QBs, I wouldn't mind it at all. I love the trade for Travis Hunter. Like, you trade down, you go to 5, you get a first rounder next year, you get Mason Graham, you get a bonus second rounder for this year's draft, where you get Quinshon Judkins. I like that trade a lot for both sides, but really, I thought Cleveland did it great, and they needed it. I mean, how much the bad publicity out of that building with the Deshaun Watson, thing, even go back years, Johnny Manziel losing the team, when you had it back in the 90s, you had to wait for it to come back. And I really do think that the Cleveland Browns had a great draft and one of the best drafts they've had in probably my lifetime. So props to Cleveland. I thought they did very good. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the next team that I thought did really well is the New England Patriots. Sorry to steal yours a little there, Sebastian. It's not on your screen as well, but I mean, the Will Campbell pick was a great value at 4, no, but there's no blue chippers left. I don't think there was anyone really looking to trade up. I feel like it's good value for the position they got him at. I feel like he could end up being a really great player and even stick at left tackle, to be honest. But the reason I love this Patriots draft so much is specifically day 2. Travion Henderson, the first pick, then Kyle Williams at 69, and then Jared Wilson at 95. I thought were 3 A-plus picks. Patriots filling in spots on the rosters that they desperately needed to, getting, I believe, potential impact starters day 1, all throughout days 1 and 2. So definitely also liked a couple of the picks they had day 3. I thought Joshua Farmer was a potentially good pick. And yeah, I mean, Braden Swinson could end up being good too. Big potential guy at LSU. So we'll see, but I really like this Patriots class as it stands right now.
Well, hearing about Travion Henderson, obviously the Colts general manager, Chris Ballard, came out and said that Travion Henderson potentially is the best pass-protecting running back he's ever seen coming out of the draft. So some high praise there for Travion Henderson. I think the big emphasis the Patriots had this draft was how can we make Drake May's life easier? We'll get him a franchise left tackle and Will Campbell in the first round. We'll get him a pass-protecting and pretty much take it through the house, big-time burst running back in Travion Henderson. We'll get him a big-time flyer so Drake May can show off his arm and Kyle Williams. Obviously, they already added Stephon Diggs in there. So, I mean, really exciting stuff that the Patriots did just to make Drake May's life easier. Really no excuses for him. Josh McDaniels still has some new toys as well. But I'll talk real quick on the New York Giants here. I love the addition of Abdul Carter, best player available. That front seven is just looking monstrous for them. Adding Darius Alexander in the 3rd round was a really good pick. I thought he slid a little bit too much. He's going to be a great run defender alongside Dexter Lawrence, who can simply do it all. He's easily a top 5 left defensive tackle in the National Football League. Cam Scatterbo, we all are big fans here. Our boy, big old Cameron Scatterbo, he goes to the Giants, pairing up with Tyrone Tracy. Big change of pace right there between Tracy. He'll be the elusive burst guy that can take it to the house, and then Cam Scatterbo's going to be the closer. 4th quarter, no one's going to want to tackle this guy. He's going to break a ton of tackles. And then Marcus Embo in the offensive line. We were begging for this guy to be picked. It feels like forever when we were doing our day 3 draft coverage over on Blaze Radio. But Embo goes to the Giants. I thought at 154, 5th round was a complete steal. So I really like the Giants draft outside of the pick number 25. I wanted to get a quarterback in there, but that's the pick I think that overall is going to doom Brian Dable and Joe Shan.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the analysis of the Jackson Dart pick. I mean, they got their guy, but I think that'll probably end up doing them in. Another draft I really liked, sorry, AJ, you can go ahead.
well, okay. I mean, I'll say one off the top of my head, the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I like the Arizona Cardinals. I said it last year, too, and that draft didn't really turn out to be that great as I thought it would be. I liked what the Cardinals did. I thought Will Johnson was one of the steals of the night overall. I thought they did a great job with Walter Nolan. I mean, there was some smoke about him going even higher than where he went. Kenneth Grant actually goes before Walter Nolan. That was an interesting anecdote from the draft. I like this guy a lot for the Arizona Cardinals. This is a rebuilt pass rush. And even last year, they got a lot of luck with that defense. I trust those guys out there and Jonathan Gannon to come up with a good scheme with Will Johnson if he can just stay healthy. And Walter Nolan, that's a big boy out there in the defensive line. They really beefed up front in this draft. And the edge rusher, you got Josh Sweat out there. I mean, this defense, it was Budda Baker too. This defense now is much more formidable. There are no excuses for the Arizona Cardinals for 2025. Jobs are officially on the line. I think they had a great draft, but I think Kyler has to be healthy for a full season. Kyler Murray has to, show up and show out and show people why he was not only the number 1 pick, but really throughout his career has gotten so much smoke to maybe be a top 10 quarterback, and it just hasn't lived up to the expectations. Still 0 playoff wins for Kyler Murray. That has to change this year. There are no excuses. The only thing is an injury. That's the only thing that can stop the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not saying crown them. They're going to win a Super Bowl like half the Arizona media is already doing, but what I will say is this is a make or break year for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they had a great draft, but definitely a big year for Gannon and Murray and company. But I'll get into another draft I liked for real this time. The Jets. I love what they did on day 1 and day 2. I thought Membu was the best player available, 7, potentially at 4 even. Thought him sliding that far and them to pick him up. That's a plug-and-play right tackle immediately. They have their 2 tackles in the future. Mason Taylor, round 2, I thought was great value. This is a guy we were getting first-round rumors about. Obviously a great pass catcher. Azare Thomas, I thought was a solid pick as well in the 3rd round, and I liked getting Malachi Moore in the 4th, day 3. So I thought the Jets had an all-around great draft, and I really like what they're building over there at their Glen.
Well, yeah, I'll link to another draft I really like, the Carolina Panthers over there, adding Tech McMillan in the 1st round out of Arizona, just to be another big-time threat there for Bryce Young and another weapon that they can just add, can be so versatile. This guy, for that body size, he's just got special size, nearly at 6'5". This guy's just going to be a pure jump ball threat. And really, honestly, for his size, he can run also quite a bit. Obviously, having Nick scored in the second round, I thought he was probably going to be a first-round pick, or at least in the back end, or even
Yeah.
early day two. To get him at 51, that's about almost halfway towards the back end of the second round. I thought getting him at that value was spectacular. Princely Uma Mielin out of Ole Miss. Excuse me if I botched that last name, but that's another edge rusher right there that added in the third round. So getting him and scoring together, I think is spectacular. Those are potentially three starters right there. Ted McMillan, Nick Scored, and then Princely out of Ole Miss. And you got Trevor Etienne. Obviously, Jonathan Brooks unfortunately had another major injury to end last year, but I think Trevor Etienne is just a well-rounded running back that you can add right alongside Chuba Hubbard. I think those two will be a nice little deal. And even Lanthan Ransom out of Ohio State. It's never wrong to go with a Buckeye day three. They added him in the fourth round, pick number 122 overall, so he's definitely going to be productive in that secondary. I'm sure they'll always find a way to put a Buckeye somewhere in that starting defense. So I really was very pleased with the Panthers. I think they came away with some really darn good football players that will make a big time impact as they really try to take the next step with Bryce Young next year.
Another draft that I like Travers Denver Broncos, getting Jahadi Barron back there. Really, that defense last year was legit, at least the pass rush was. And now you can really start to look at that secondary, putting guys out there with Pat Surtain, who's the best corner in football. You get Jahadi Barron, who is probably the best corner in this class, with him. I think that's a great idea by Sean Payton. And then we'll go out and get my running back sleeper, R.J. Harvey, who I think is going to be the bell cow there in Denver this upcoming season. I think he's going to be an absolute beast for the Broncos. He's exactly what they need. He profiles perfectly in the Sean Payton offense. This is that type of Sean Payton running back build. I mean, how many times for years and years did you have guys like Darren Sproles? I mean, he tried to make it work with Javonte Williams, but I just think that was on the player. Injuries really caught up to him. I think R.J. Harvey was one of the steals of the draft. I think he's going to be an absolute beast for the Denver Broncos. So.
Yeah, I love it, man. Gotta love Broncos praise. I'll get into one that feels like we'll probably talk about every year, and we probably will continue to talk about for every year until Howie Roseman is gone, is the Eagles draft. Getting Jihad Campbell at 31, who I thought was a top 15 player in the class, is great value. Andrew Mukaba in round 2 to potentially replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson was also a great pick. I loved what they did day 3 as well, bringing in Smile Mondon Jr., Cameron Williams, a development piece out of Texas. I just think he's going to end up being awesome with the Eagles' offensive line factory that just seems to be going on over there. And Antoine Powell-Ryland, big producer out of the ACC, Virginia Tech, another rotational guy for them. So the Eagles hit it out of the ballpark again.
I'll talk about the Chicago Bears. How about that? I mean, nobody's probably done a better job than surrounding the quarterback with really good talent. The Chicago Bears, as an organization overall, first adding Ben Johnson, then obviously Dennis Allen on the defensive side of the football. But then you go into the draft and they really build a foundation of what Ben Johnson wants to do with the tight end Colston Loveland. You can pick the head of Tyler Warren. That's definitely going to be a big highlight we're really going to keep an eye on here in the first year. Who's going to be better between Loveland and Warren, and who should have been picked first. But regardless, I think that's an outstanding draft pick. Loveland's going to be a big-time weapon to get even open as just a pure route runner for Caleb Williams. You had Luther Burden in the second round. You can argue that's a steal of the draft right there. That was my number 2 wide receiver. Add him in alongside Remo Dunze and DJ Moore. You potentially, if those guys play up to their potential, you could potentially have the best trio of wide receivers in the whole National Football League. Adding Ozzie Trapilla right there in the second round, I think that's just a big-time body that Ben Johnson's going to find a spot to put him in that offensive line. Shamar Stewart in the second round, I think he's going to be a very productive interior defender for them. And Zoff Frazier, the cornerback out of UTSA in the 5th round, it's probably really good value to get him there. So overall, the Chicago Bears really outstanding draft, adding player after player. I think Ben Johnson did a great job as just surrounding the foundation and what he wants to do alongside Ryan Poles in this first draft.
Okay, let's get to the teams we didn't like, the things that we did not like about the 2025 NFL draft.
All right. I guess I can start us off here. I think the thing that I didn't like was the 49ers class. Not that they necessarily, I thought, had bad picks or bad value reaches, stuff like that. It's just the fact that they waited all the way until the 7th round to finally take an offensive lineman, and they only took one. I thought that was malpractice looking at this room heading into next year. I don't know how you expect that offensive line to protect Brock Purdy, number one. Second of all, to make holes and run lanes for Christian McCaffrey. It's looking absolutely terrible. Yeah, I like some of the players they drafted, and they did lose a lot on defense. I don't think it's bad they addressed defensive needs early, but they just didn't address the offensive line need at all until a flyer in round 7. So I thought they were losers of the draft for sure.
Speaking about teams who, in my opinion, didn't address the offensive line like they should have, the Houston Texans. Ursary, I think, is good value in the second round, but I did not like them trading down at pick number 25 that they had. Josh Simmons was there, and I think that's a perennial all-pro that they just handed to the Chiefs. So I thought it was a really bad move for Texas to do that. That was a chance to really lock down a guy that was for sure going to protect C.J. Stroud as long as he's healthy. I like the Jaden Higgins pick, like I mentioned. I like the Ursary pick, but then picking Jalen Noel in the third round just really made no sense to me. A team that's really trying to win now, it seems like Noel's kind of a move that they're planning on after maybe moving on from Kirk after this year. And for the Texans, I feel like in the third round, you have to add players that are going to help you out this year. And I just don't know, unless injuries get in the way. Jalen Noel, I'm not sure how often he's going to be getting in there. And after that, really, they just didn't address the offensive line much. Only one offensive lineman taken throughout this whole draft: cornerback, running back, safeties, even a quarterback, and Graham Mertz. In my opinion, even Graham Mertz, how can you pick him over a guy like Queen Ewers, even if you want to get a backup quarterback? So overall, I'm not a really big fan of this Texans draft.
This is the really easy one for me. I don't like the Falcons one. I'll get to that later. But the Steelers, I mean, really, what are we doing? What are we doing? Will Howard? This is the big thing that we were talking about at the quarterback position. Will Howard? Are we serious? Like, we can't be serious. And listen, don't get me wrong. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been the model of, we're not going to suck, but we're not going to be great. We're just going to be meh. Will Howard, they're going to suck. I'm calling that one right now out with a silver spade. I like what they did on the defensive line. I think Derek Harmon's a beast, and I think that'll be a good Cam Hayward replacement eventually. I don't understand what we're trying to do. I think the goal in the NFL every year for every team should be to win the Super Bowl. Honestly, I think it should be. I don't think it is for every team, but you have to make the moves that are within the best interest for your team to win. I don't understand how passing on Shedeur Sanders multiple times throughout the draft to fill really minor needs on the defensive line. Like, what? Hold on. So you're going to take a backup defensive tackle over a quarterback, over Shedeur Sanders, over Kyle McCord. You took Will Howard. Will Howard's probably one of the worst quarterbacks in this draft class that actually got drafted. Like, I don't understand the evaluation at all for Pittsburgh. It's just a frustrating thing. I just don't understand how you can pay DK Metcalf all that money. You can trade a very valuable pick in the process to get DK Metcalf in your building, and you go from Russell Wilson and Justin Fields to Skylar Thompson, Mason Rudolph, and Will Howard. And then all these people now who are trying to say, oh, they're going to go get Aaron Rodgers. What? Why are you waiting? What is the wait for? What the hell is the wait for at this point? Why are we waiting until April 28th? If you were going to sign him, you should have signed him a month ago. You should have signed. Honestly, you should have signed him the day the Jets decided to cut him. That is the day you should have signed Aaron Rodgers. There's no reason to wait this long with the guy. What are you going to do now? You're going to sign him in like June and get him ready out there for August and act like you're going to have a season? No, you're not. This team is going to be terrible. I honestly think this is the end for Mike Tomlin. There's no way they can go into this year with Will Howard as their starting quarterback. I mean, stop. I like Will Howard like a little bit, but come on, let's be honest. Ohio State had generational talent with a guy like Jeremiah Smith. He would be the first pick in this draft if we could do it. And Emeka Ibuka, who I think is going to be a flat-out superstar, and why I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft a lot, even though Jalen McMillan is now their wide receiver 4. I just don't understand what we're doing in the National Football League. Yes, they've gotten quarterback wrong time after time again, but for Pittsburgh, you're going to start Will Howard. That's the joke of the year. I honestly don't even think it's close. And outside of that, I kind of like the draft. I like Caleb Johnson. That's a good Najee Harris replacement. I see what they're trying to do, but you can't pass on Shedeur Sanders. That was yours. He was. If you're worried about him like being humble, like what? He got humbled. The kid got humbled. He was absolutely humbled on draft night. He would have been ready to go, and it would have made a little bit of sense to me. You wanted you have a little QB competition there. You get Shedeur Sanders going. It would make a lot of sense. Shedeur Sanders was great value at that point in the draft. I just don't know what we're doing in Pittsburgh. It doesn't make sense to me at all. They want to tank. You're telling me you want to tank and you want to lose football games so you can get a quarterback next year, which I'm fine if you want to do that. I mean, but if we're trading for DK Metcalf, let's go get a quarterback and try to win this year. I just don't get it. So it's either or. If you don't want to win a Super Bowl, then don't trade for DK Metcalf, and you keep Calvin Austin as your wide receiver too. So that's my big takeaway. Steelers, mess of a franchise right now. I don't understand where they're going from an organizational perspective at all. They are stuck in no man's land, and it is clear as day.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, I'll get into another one of my losers. I think the Vikings, honestly, I know they didn't have a lot of capital to address the needs that they would have loved to in this draft, but I mean, you just can't leave the draft with, maybe one, maybe potentially two impact players next year, especially with the depth of this class. I thought Ty Felton was a reach out of Maryland. I thought there was five, maybe even like six receivers better than him on the board at the time. I thought Donovan Jackson was a solid pick, maybe a bit of a reach, but I think he'll end up being great for them. Just a solid player overall. But other than that, I did not really like their day three either. Kind of thought that this was maybe a little bit of a down draft for the Vikings, who are a team that I usually think that drafts super well.
Yeah, overall, I'll get into my next team is the Cincinnati Bengals. Did not love the Shamar Stewart pick. I think for a team that's trying to win right now, look, I like the intangibles and what Shamar Stewart has. I just think there's better value in the edge rushing position or even in the defensive side of the football that they could have taken. I think Shamar Stewart's more of a project for a team that desperately needs starters on the defensive side of the football. Demetrius Knight Jr. out of South Carolina. I like the pick. Maybe a little bit too early, though. But at the same time, I think he's going to be a productive player for them. Outside of that, they did a couple decent moves. Fairchild, he's a big offensive lineman from Georgia. But, just looking at this whole draft class, I just don't get a true sense of the Cincinnati Bengals for a team that's really trying to go to the Super Bowl with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. I just didn't get the sense that they really got that much better after this draft.
Yeah.
My next team, I'm going to get to the Falcons even later now because I forgot one. The New Orleans Saints. That was terrible. I thought the whole draft was terrible outside of Kelvin Banks, who I think will be a nice piece for them in their offensive line. They had to address that, especially after you decline a fifth-year option for a guy like Trevor Penning. You have to get a tackle there. So they did. They got a tackle. I like the Banks pick. Let me put that out there. I don't like Tyler Shough at all. I don't like him at all. I think he's got bust written all over him. It's such a typical.
Is it really bust when he's picked at 40?
I think it's
what
a
do you
fair
mean?
value for Shough to be picked at 40. I know what you're saying. He has to be a starter probably if you pick him at 40.
If that's the future, you're screwed. Honestly, he's not. I think so, 100%.
I don't think that's the future. I think they're just going to take a shot on him this year. If they don't have anything, great. It's a good quarterback class in theory.
All good. So you're going to take him over Shedeur Sanders. I don't get the evaluation.
Yes.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I just think that's crazy. I don't understand what they're doing. I think Shedeur Sanders is the better prospect. You take the better prospect. The Saints have been a garbage franchise since Sean Payton left. It's clear to see who was running the operation down there. And then two of the later rounds, like Jonas Sanker over Xavier Watts. Like, what are we doing? I was lost again by this Saints draft. How Mickey Loomis even has a job. Taking a safety two in the third round when you just signed one and you have Tyrann Mathieu makes no sense to me at all. And I get it. There are teams like to have three safeties, but in the third round with how many needs they have, and even if this kid you think is going to be good, I mean, I think he's going to suck. Even if this kid you think he's going to be good, who is he going to have to throw the ball to? Like, just tell me. So we're going to rely on Rashid Shaheed. Chris Olave is Chris Olave. Let's call it what it is. Chris Olave at this point in his career has concussions. He is at this point, in my opinion, he's unreliable at this point. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. You could get something or you could get nothing just because of the injuries in the head and concussions. You just don't know. And Rashid Shaheed is coming off a massive knee injury, and this was one of the fastest guys. What happens when you take away a knee from a fast player? Like, I don't know. With Rashid Shaheed, he could suck. Like, I don't know what we're doing in New Orleans. I don't get it. I've been lost in this space for years with the whole, we're going to start Jameis Winston, or no, we're going to go to Jake Hayner because he's going to get our franchise. And Spencer Rattler. Yeah, let's go out and get Derek Carr 4 years and $150 million. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. They're lost. That's what it has to be. They have to be waiting for a quarterback in 26. I don't think this kid can play at all. I'll be very surprised if he plays well, like even at all. I would be very surprised.
Well, I mean, AJ, I definitely understand your concerns. I think that's a very valid opinion you have. You either love Tyler Shough or you don't like him. Yeah. I kind of like Tyler Shough. I like the tools he's got, especially this prototypical quarterback size at 6'5". He can move around a little bit. I think overall, what he showed on film last year was very inspiring, really, from a quarterback prospect. But I understand why you don't love the idea, really. Picking
Is this the older guy, too, that I was hearing about?
Yeah,
even worse.
I picked a 26-year-old, about to be an opening day in the NFL, 26-year-old quarterback. I picked him for 40. I understand that. But the Saints, just looking at their whole roster, Derek Carr, he's probably not going to be ready to play week one. You really don't want to march out Spencer Rattler.
No, I agree. No, listen.
I understand taking Shedeur, and that's what you're definitely saying, but I think this is more of a system fit. I think Kellen Moore said, I like Tyler Shough better for what I like to run. Definitely time will tell. I'm not sure about the ceiling of any of these quarterbacks, maybe outside of Cameron Ward, but here looking at Tyler Shough, I don't think it's that crazy to take him over Shedeur because it's more of a system pick. Same thing with the Jackson Dart pick. I'm just not huge on any of these guys outside of Cam Ward, but I definitely understand your concerns, and I think it's a very valid opinion that you have.
No, and I understand your side of it too, that he's a system fit. I do understand that. I just don't know what direction we're going in over New Orleans. It has to be waiting for 26, which I think is a dumb idea. Waiting on college kids who could, who could rise and fall. Like, I don't get it.
What I see from the Saints this year, though, with Chuck, I think he's going to start week one straight up because he's 26 years old. Some Spencer Rattler's there. You're not going to start Rattler.
They got
We
to see
saw
what
him
they
play
have.
last year. So he's either going to be good and he can be potentially the franchise ending as earning his second year gig, or if he sucks, the Saints are going to be just a flat out terrible football team. And then worst case scenario, you end up all the way at the top of the draft class and you get a chance to take another quarterback of your future right there. So I understand taking Chuck. Just take a chance on him, and if he sucks, he's going to get you the first overall pick or somewhere around there. So.
Yeah, they absolutely had to come away with a quarterback too.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they shouldn't take a quarterback. I just don't like the quarterback they took. That's more my thing. So
that's fair. I mean, maybe a little bit of an underrated one. I think the Rams trading out of the first round. Yeah, you get a first round pick next year, which I think is awesome. But if we're just talking about this year, I think Terrence Ferguson was a bit of a reach at the midpoint of the second round. Josiah Stewart, I mean, he's a cool player. I don't really know how much he's going to come in and produce for you. Jarquez Hunter, I thought, was a decent player, maybe not round 4 material. I thought there was a couple reaches. Overall, I don't really know if they filled their needs super well, except for the Chris Paul Jr. pick. I really like that one, but there's a couple picks here that are really head-scratching to me, but just because it's Sean McVay, I'm sure they'll end up being great picks. So.
Yeah, I mean, besides that, obviously, we talked about multiple draft classes. I'll probably dig in a little bit more on Friday when we give out our grades. But despite that, there's a couple main classes out there. Obviously, I'm not going to question the Detroit Lions too much because it just seems like guys like Tesla, they picked him in the third round. A guy who was probably projected to maybe even go undrafted by some people. Maybe all of a sudden he can turn out to be a very valuable player for them. But on paper, if I just take out all the, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the whole culture they built over there and just look just straight at the draft class, I don't love the draft class. I thought Talik Williams in the first round as an interior defensive lineman. Obviously, every single year you get the one surprise first round pick. That was probably him this year. I thought that was a reach. Ratledge in the second round, he's a good offensive guard. I think that was a good pick. But just trading 3 third-round picks for Isaac Tesla with the guys that were on the board like A.O. Manor, like Torrey Horton Jr., I just thought that was a very surprising move. Miles Frazier's really good value in the 5th round. But, it's just a draft class with not a lot of big names. And then you also give up a lot of capital for guys that really are just such big question marks.
I totally agree. I thought that was ridiculous. Trading 3 third-round picks for a guy who could have went in maybe the 6th round. I just thought that was insane. I thought the Texans were terrible too. That running back trade they made was ridiculous. I thought that was absolute insanity. And my final team that I see what they're doing. I think it's going to bust because they're filled with incompetence. What can I say? It's the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to rip the Atlanta Falcons. I thought overall the players they got were pretty good. I like Xavier Watts in the 3rd round. They definitely needed another safety. It makes a lot of sense. Jalen Walker's a good value, even though I think he's probably going to be a bust at that point in the draft. He's falling for a reason there at 15. And then James Pierce Jr. Let's talk about James Pierce Jr. because I think that was the head scratcher, if there was one, which I think it was. You don't give a team like the Rams an extra first-round pick for next year. I don't like that idea. And I don't like it, especially because there are 3 edge rushers on the board. If you wait till the 2nd round, it had to be that James Pierce Jr. was their guy over Ezeraku, over a guy like Mike Green. I just don't see the logic in a guy trading a first-round pick next year at that point in the draft for an edge rusher, especially James Pierce Jr., who I hate the whole character concerns thing, but James Pierce Jr., real character concerns. When a guy like Donovan Ezeraku really has no character concerns, he was an absolute beast at Boston College. I just didn't get it. And you give the Rams a first-round pick next year in the process to do it so they can go out next year, and if they're really good, it's awesome because they just signed Devontae Adams, and they're going to go trade those 2 first-round picks to find their next quarterback of the future. It was a head scratcher for me, and the Falcons are filled with incompetence too. Like the Ulbrich thing, this kid getting a phone number. How does this kid get a phone number in the first place? By the way, I don't understand that at all.
I don't either. They were saying he was walking around in the family home and took it, but I don't know, man. That's I feel it's pretty hard to believe. Yeah, it is.
This organization is filled with incompetence. I really do, and I think the incompetence run is going to strike out on them. I mean, I was willing to give them a pass for Kirk Cousins, like just because they got Michael Penix, who we think is going to be a good quarterback. I was going to give them a pass, but if this bites them, like if Michael Penix Jr. goes out there this year, who has had knee issues in the past, and he goes out there week 1 and he tears his ACL, you look like a gigantic fool.
Okay, well you can say that about every team.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you can, but again, when you have a quarterback like Michael Penix, not every team has a quarterback who's maybe injury prone.
Maybe that's why they're keeping Kirk Cousins, I guess.
I don't get that either. I really don't get that either. That's just ridiculous. How he's not off their roster. I mean, this organization's riddled with incompetence. And how in the world? How does the NFL really has to if everyone's getting all hot and bothered by these prank calls, they need to restructure everything. The defensive coordinators should not have devices with phone numbers on them of NFL draft quarterback prospects. That should all be done in-house in a war room in a secluded environment. That phone number should not get out anywhere. And it's really starting to make me think that Jeff Ulbrich was the leak in the Jets room. Who was the leak in the Jets room after everything? I'm starting to get an indication that it's Jeff Ulbrich, because it's really interesting that he would just conveniently leave his iPad out so his kid could look at it and have fun with his buddies and prank call Shedeur Sanders. Even everyone's getting hot and bothered by it too. Settle down. It sucks as a moment for Shedeur Sanders, but prank called you. I mean, come on, like get over it. Like, he's going to get drafted. I see why you would get panicked about it, especially for a guy like Shedeur who fell to the 5th round when he probably could have gone in the 1st or 2nd. I think a lot of people are just really like being big babies. Like, I call it, the snowflakes out there, the NFL snowflake fans, the Steeler fans who are trying to tell me that Will Howard's going to be, this supernatural quarterback, and somehow he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft. You people are wrong. Like, I've had enough. There were plenty of other players in this draft who also got prank called too. I'm not hearing the same outrage from almost all of them. Is Tyler Warren getting the same outrage? I really don't know. Isaiah Bond, who went undrafted, got a prank call. Like, that's worse to me, in my opinion. But I think there's a lot of babying. And overall, my point is the Atlanta Falcons are an organization riddled with incompetence. If they didn't have their incompetence strikes at least 4 times that I saw last year, maybe I would have said they had a good draft, but I don't believe it. I have to see it first before I believe the Atlanta Falcons and anything they touch. So,
well, I mean, obviously I spoke about the Falcons earlier, and definitely the trade compensation for James Pierce Jr., that could have been a lot weaker of a composition you could have given to the Rams, and that trade probably could have gone through. I think overall the players they got from that draft, I think you got 4 defensive starters right there. If all those guys worked out and all of a sudden the Falcons win the division and go to the playoffs, all of a sudden you really forget that trade ever happened. You're pretty happy with the results. So I'm not going to rip the Falcons too hard. As for the whole Shedeur situation, if you put yourself in his shoes, this is a guy that probably has worked his butt off his whole life, probably living under his dad's shadows as well. I mean, it's not easy really to live up to when your dad is Deion Sanders and you get that moment, you're sliding through the draft. So many different things and emotions are going through your head because you're just asking yourself, how is this happening? Because I should have probably heard my name called 2 nights ago, and then all of a sudden some frat guy from Ole Miss calls you and kind of gets you all excited, thinking, "Oh, it's finally over." Sigh of relief, just to tell you, no, it's not over. Yeah, that kid should definitely face a lot of backlash. Not Jeff Ulbrich, not sure how it all went down. Jeff Ulbrich, probably didn't know his kid was going to do that, so it kind of does stink the whole situation, especially
his kid's 20.
Yeah, it's almost like us.
Like, look, should the kid be absolutely punished and
like he's embarrassed now?
He's embarrassed. He apologized. This is what happened, and he should be embarrassed. As just a moment that is just completely discouraging from all sides. But let's not overreact. Also, given the worst severe punishment, no. But he definitely should be punished in some type of fashion.
He's gotten it. It's the media backlash. That's it.
Everyone should just learn from the whole situation, and the NFL specifically, to just keep this whole thing a lot more hitting into next year's draft. It's just a whole lesson for every single party.
They got to rewrite how they give out like phone numbers and stuff like that. It has to be in house. You can't have GMs or even coordinators. I could see like a GM or a head coach going home with a phone number. Coordinators should not be going home with phone numbers for any draft prospect. That should be done in house through team facilities.
Well, the guy I felt really bad for was Isaiah Bond, because that's a guy who transferred to Texas last year.
That I actually feel like awful for.
Like, he wanted to probably go in the first round entering this year in Texas. He goes to the draft and he still, despite all the off the field issues, he probably expects to get drafted at some point. Hear his name called, at least day 3. Maybe some people argue day 2. And you go and see all these guys get taken. He probably should have not been taken ahead of him. And then he goes undrafted. He still has yet to sign for a team, so who really knows what's going on with Isaiah Bond? So I do really feel bad for him.
All right, that's the NFL draft. Quick recap. We'll have the full one on Friday.
I thought the Titans had a great draft, too. Didn't get to slip that one in there. So, love them picking up Restrepo in UDFA as well.
Okay. All right. So, again, full breakdown on Friday. That's coming up. Now, let's get to the playoffs. Big playoffs across sports, NBA and NHL. If you guys have an opening take on any of the playoff games, go ahead. Fire it up.
I guess my opening take will be I believe that. Oof.
Just say it. Go ahead.
I know what's about to come.
Go ahead and say whatever you want.
I believe the winner of the Stars Avalanche series will come out of the West. I think both of these teams are awesome hockey teams with two great goalies. I think it's been on display all series with the close games that's been going on. I think obviously if Dallas isn't fully healthy, so I think barring they get out of this series, they could make a run. And if Colorado plays at their best, like we saw 2 nights ago, there's no saying they couldn't make a run. So I definitely think there's potential for a cup bid out of that series.
So I thought you were going to go with the other team in Denver. I thought it was we were coming out to the Nuggets, but I'll start there. I mean, gladly. Let me push up my chair. We're talking hockey. I like the Stars. I really do. Especially if they get Heiskanen back. I'm a little worried about bringing him back in like Game 5 or Game 6. Like we're just slotting him in the middle of your defense, just expecting him to like be this super natural defenseman when all these guys now who are now 4 playoff games in have been just beating the ever-living crap out of each other. Like for 4 playoff games, you're going to get Heiskanen. Like regular season hockey and postseason hockey, it's just 2 totally different things. You will see snipers around hockey who are terrific in the regular season. They won't touch the puck in the postseason because it's just too physical, too aggressive. Referees will put the whistles away. Miro Heiskanen is your franchise defenseman in Dallas, so I'd be a little concerned about bringing him back. But if he's ready to go 100%, you can obviously use a guy like that. I mean, that's maybe a difference maker in a series. I think I agree though. I definitely do agree. The 2 most talented teams, in my opinion, in the West off skill are playing in this one game, so I could definitely see that as a take. Good job.
Yeah.
It all sounds good, Trevor. Hopefully, best of luck to your Avalanche. That definitely seems like a pretty exciting series.
Game 5.
Big game right there. But switching our focus, or my focus at least, towards the NBA. The playoffs are still going on. And a lot of people are kind of disappointed, but we all kind of saw it coming, right? Like most of these series are 3-1. Warriors obviously play tonight. Rockets have a chance to tie it up, or the Warriors can take a commanding 3-1 lead. But obviously, I'm going to highlight pretty much the biggest series so far in this first round, and maybe the only competitive series so far this first round. The Clippers going up against the Nuggets. That's been an awesome series, just going back and forth. The Nuggets maybe look a little bit dead after Game 3. They bounce back at the buzzer. They beat the Clippers Game 4. Game 5 is coming up later this week. That's going to be really exciting in my opinion. Kind of who moves on. I think that's just going to be the most adversity-driven series. Game 5 tomorrow. So, keep going back to Denver as well, right? Yep. So it's going to be really interesting. I mean, whoever wins tomorrow obviously has a chance to set up the other team for an elimination game. That's kind of the only takeaway really from the NBA right now. The Celtics are doing a good job trying to put the Magic away. The Cavs have a chance to put the Heat to bed tonight. The Pacers, I've been pretty impressed by the Pacers, by the way, too.
Yeah,
I think
also just got to feel bad for Bucks fans, man. Yeah. Dame goes down last night, pops his Achilles. Absolutely terrible to see.
That was going to be my take, yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy that I just want to see this guy win a title. It feels like he was so loyal to Portland for so long. When he finally leaves, he started having all these, personal mental issues. And then the blood clot finally comes back for the playoffs. And then it just feels like it's all been stacking up wrong against the guy. And as a player who was so fun in the clutch, even if the series didn't totally matter, I feel bad for him for sure. I think it would have been nice to see him get his ring.
And it's a question mark too. A lot of people are, throwing all the rumors out there right now. Is this Giannis's last game at home for the Bucks? If the Bucks were to go out in Indiana here in a couple days, I don't think it will. I think Giannis will still be back there. I would love to see Dame still win a chip. It's not going to happen with Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers should just get canned after this year, and no one really should hire him. It's just ridiculous how
I'm tired of Doc Rivers being employed.
I just don't get how teams legit think it's a good idea after watching his stint with the 76ers and think, yeah, this guy can probably lead us to a championship. I know Mike Budenholzer did it, and he's an absolute buffoon here in Phoenix. So, I guess many different weird coaches can lead their teams towards deep playoff runs, but Doc Rivers is just not your best chance to get you there, so the Bucks should definitely can him. But the second round seems pretty set almost, unless some crazy 3-1 comeback comes back. It looks like it's going to be Pacers taking on the Cavs, I believe, and then the Knicks taking on the Celtics. So, 2 probably better series going into the second round. The Knicks, though, I'm not a big fan of the Knicks. I think the Pistons, I feel kind of bad for them. I think they competed greatly throughout these first 4 games. It's just they can't quite close out games, and it might be just lack of experience in a young team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think they're flashing. I think of one that I want to talk about a little bit. Sorry, AJ.
You're good, man. No, you're good.
I just got a lot of NBA takes on the
He's got the takes. I like you having takes. It's better for the show.
I mean, yeah, there we go. The Timberwolves look absolutely phenomenal and unstoppable. And I think the biggest weakness for the Lakers, and the one that we all said heading into the playoffs, is they don't have a true big man. And that is showing, and a glaring weakness. Jackson Hayes is getting played off the court by Naz Reid. Rudy Gobert hasn't been playing a lot, but that doesn't really matter for the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards went nuclear yesterday at 41 points. He is just unbelievable. Top 5 to 7 player in this league. The Timberwolves are on a trajectory far upwards, and I love the trajectory Anthony Edwards is on, as long as my Knicks have to play him again.
Anthony Edwards is my favorite player in the NBA. Like I'm being 100% serious about that. I love Jason Tatum, but Anthony Edwards is my favorite player. And honestly, if I were to start a franchise right now, I think Anthony Edwards would get strong consideration for me as my number one pick.
I agree. I genuinely
I think
agree. I think it's
he's
between like him and Wemby.
Yeah, but I forgot about Wembanyama. But yeah, I would probably start with Anthony Edwards. If I had one guy, I had the Martians and putting the death beam at me. I think I would take Anthony Edwards. I even over Shea. Even over Shea, I would take Anthony Edwards.
I'll still take Luka over both.
It's fair. That's fair.
I wouldn't, but I see why.
I could definitely see the logic in that. But he's a fun player. He's absolutely a fun player.
Anthony Edwards is just like 10 times the defender Luka will ever be.
I just can't forget what Luka did to that team last year.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have to hide Anthony Edwards on defense. And look what Anthony Edwards is doing to Luka right now. So.
Yeah, well, once again, look at the team Anthony Edwards has around him. I think it's a lot more complete than what the Lakers have around him. I mean, it's LeBron and Luka trying to just pretty much backpack Austin Reeves, little sprinkles in there, Rui Hachimura. I just think the depth of the Lakers is really getting tested right now. The Timberwolves.
I don't even think it's the fact they have bad depth. It's the fact that they have no size. That is the reason they're losing the series. I mean, size is depth to a certain extent. They have nice pieces off the bench. I like Dalton Connect. I like Gabe Vincent. Whoever doesn't start. I think Vanderbilt can't really play in this series just because he can't shoot, and the Timberwolves will take advantage of that. But there's a couple other guys off that bench that are playable, man. There's just no size, and I think that's the main big glaring need that the Lakers need to look at in the offseason.
I think they just need to fill out that roster. I mean, Gabe Vincent, he's been okay for them. Just sounds like a gross name still to throw out there. I know he was good for the Heat, but he was on the bench for them quite a while until they made all those trades. I'm sorry, Trevor.
Yeah, they obviously don't have the greatest depth, but when you don't have a real starting center, it's going to be.
I think Timberwolves are just a lot more comfortable with the roster right now, and they're taking advantage. Obviously, you talked about the height, and Anthony Edwards is just playing lights out like he normally does in the playoffs. So
he's unbelievable. And I'm not trying to take away from the Timberwolves' success by saying that the Lakers, obviously, they have a lot of great players. Naz Reid's been unbelievable in the fourth quarter down the stretch, but I definitely think the Lakers had some glaring holes, and I think people, like myself, even got a little too optimistic taking them to the conference finals. So I think this is definitely a humbling moment for probably the biggest market in the NBA.
And they've been kind of in it, Luka and LeBron have been trying.
They've all been awesome games.
LeBron has been awesome in Game 3. I mean, he was awesome. It's been tough to try to close out games. I think the Timberwolves just all around know how to do it better, especially I think the home crowd so far in these two tightest games have been Game 3 and 4 back in Minneapolis. I think the crowd, honestly, has been a big impact. Just energized the Timberwolves a lot, and they've been able to just edge out the Lakers both games.
Yeah.
Okay, the NBA thoughts. I mean, I would say I'm a little worried about this other like that kind of worried. I mean, I just hope Drew Holiday's healthy. 3-1, but yeah, sorry, 3-1. And it easily could have been 2-2.
It's the Magic too. I know what you're saying. It's just the health once again.
Yeah, that's it. And I was a little concerned about the Magic. I mean, a lot of people were just going to say it's a sweep. I don't know where you can get that logic from, but
it's not a sweep. That's not a series.
I
think can realistically lose. Like that's what when I look at that
6.
series,
It was
I'm
6
like,
for me.
Cool, the Magic can win a game or two, but they're not going to win that series.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, of course. I'm not saying anyone on the show. I'm saying more what I'm hearing from the outside. I think the Celtics will match up much better with a team like the Knicks than they actually do with the Magic. The Magic are just young and hungry and feisty. I think the Celtics would absolutely destroy a team like the Knicks. The only worry I have is Oklahoma City. Honestly, if I'm being 100% serious,
Cleveland's looking good. I think it's a little bit too irresponsible to say Cleveland's not a worry for you.
Yeah, they're up 40-12 right now, man.
Yeah,
well, I mean they're playing
the first quarter.
What timeout? Well, they're playing the Miami Heat.
You guys are playing the Magic too.
The Magic are much better than the Miami Heat. Like let's relax.
He's right.
They're better. I wouldn't take to another level.
Yes, they are.
Paulo's a top.
Yes, they are.
A top 20 player in the league. The Heat don't have any.
But the Magic have not played very good this year.
No. I want to slam this right now.
If you watch the games, they play phenomenal defense. Yeah, their offense has been inconsistent, but that's been the thing with the Magic all year. KCP hasn't been the shooting production they need. Jalen Suggs has been hurt for a good chunk of the year. So Franz
and they're all healthy.
And look at the records, though. When Paul's been healthy, they haven't played that great. They're not not the same team that they were last year. They had a
Right.
lot more energy. They're a lot more healthier.
Sure.
They're better than the Heat. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
What the Cavs are doing in the Heat, though, they're absolutely demolishing them. So
Yeah, I
to
like
say
the
they're not
Cavs.
a worry to the Celtics, the way the
yeah,
Celtics
that's-
have played,
that's
I think it's
pretty-
irresponsible.
They're playing a JV high school team. The Miami Heat were realistically not trying to win a championship this year. They were not trying.
After trading Jimmy Butler, no, but
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
to demolish a team like
They're
the
not
Heat,
trying.
They-
They're not trying to get
They would
swept either.
they would sweep them. They'll sweep them in their sleep. I
They're
mean,
not. They're not trying to get swept either. So, I mean, if
they're not. I'm not trying to have a C in math, but do I have the C? Yeah. What? Come on. I mean, the Heat are terrible. They were terrible. This is why the play-in stinks. The whole format sucks. I don't need to see a team like the Miami Heat. They have no business being here. The only reason why they're here is because of the Bulls' incompetence. That's why they're
Okay,
here.
well, we can talk about the plan and these type of teams getting in maybe another day. I want to talk about this Rockets-Warriors series. I think it is an absolute dogfight. I think the biggest storyline heading into tonight is whether Jimmy Butler will play or not. I think that's really going to be the deciding. I say he's listed as probable, so yeah, he probably will play. If the Warriors can handle this one tonight, take care of business like they're supposed to, then I think the series is pretty much wrapped up. But the Rockets look good, man. They've given the Warriors a fight every game of this series, so I expect more of the same tonight. Should be a good game.
Well, Game 3, honestly, is really disappointing from the Rockets. Without Jimmy Butler, that's one they had to get. And
That's fair.
when they didn't win that one, I think it's very tough for them to really come back from that, especially Jimmy Butler's back.
It's just hard to win when Jalen Green goes for 9 points.
Jalen Green, really bad
Yep.
Game 1, great Game 2, bad Game 3.
Well,
So Jalen Green
it's the
needs to
epitome of the
step up.
Jalen Green experience.
Exactly, and
right
that's
there.
been a problem. That's a reason why he may be on the trade block this offseason.
Oh, yeah,
They're really trying to
100%.
improve the roster overall by the Rockets. They're a young team, I understand that. Warriors got that
First
championship
playoff
pedigree.
appearance.
They had Steph Curry out there. Obviously, first year with Udoka really being really good there. But overall, the Warriors, I think it's just the championship pedigree kicking in. Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, this is his third time of year. Those two just turn up this time, time and time again, especially Jimmy Butler. Man, he kind of sleeps through the regular season. Playoffs come, he turns up. Hopefully he's healthy now. And if he's healthy, ever since
Look
he
out,
come
man.
over to Golden State, the Warriors have been one of the best teams in the West ever since Jimmy Butler got there. So
Once again, I don't know if the Warriors have the size to match up with the Timberwolves.
Neither do I. The
It's
way the
looking like
Timberwolves
that's
are
who they're going
playing.
to play, yeah.
yeah, especially the Warriors bigs. We talked about them. I think that's been their weakness all year long. They really
100%.
have been rotating guys in and
I
out.
mean, they've been playing Draymond in the 5 a lot.
Exactly, which is it's concerning, really.
That
against
is
guys
really
like
concerning
Nasri,
against a
Julius
team with
Randle.
good size, yeah.
So we'll see. Obviously, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler obviously going to shine through. They'll give them a run for their money, but the Timberwolves right now are obviously the more complete side. Timberwolves are a little bit confusing at times. We saw them last year, and I was convinced they were going to give a generational series to the Mavericks. All of a sudden, they kind of run out of steam. So it's all up to the Timberwolves. If they show up to a series and they're ready to play, and they are locking in, they can beat absolutely anyone. But at times, if the steam just runs out, I'm just really wondering, when is the steam going to run out with them this year?
I don't think the steam runs out this year because they got depth. The steam won't run out this year as much as it did last year, where Karl Anthony Towns got what?
Dante is a piece.
Yeah, I mean, there's more depth. I mean, I'm not again. I think both teams actually benefited from that trade. I mean, I think the Knicks are going to do very well with Karl Anthony Towns, and they have. And I think the Timberwolves.
He won them that game yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was terrific for him actually.
He won them the game.
It's a chemistry thing for the Knicks right now. I think they're just not quite fitting in.
They'll
those
settle
big four
in.
they got. I think it's probably going to take till next year. The Celtics are probably just getting more locked in because they have the same repetition of players. So I think that's going to catch up to the Knicks next round.
I agree. I think they really need time to glue. I mean, we saw it with even a team like the Timberwolves. That was a team that was an 8 seed, and then they all got all the way up to the 3, went to the conference finals. So it can really take 1 year. So.
Well, okay, that's NBA, NHL. I mean, thank God the Capitals are beating the Canadians. I mean, thank God. I was already sick of the whole whole Montreal Canadiens thing.
What about them? How about them Wild, man? Are they up 3-1?
They're up, man. They're up. And
no, it's 2-2.
They were up. It's 2-2.
That's a fun series.
I think it is a fun series. I think it's going to go 7 with the way it's trending. So
yeah,
we'll see who wins. I think it's
for that.
If the Knights lose, I mean that is embarrassing. I mean, how can you lose a series like that? I mean,
Blues Jets is still a good series, 2-2 now.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Blues really have made this a series. I am. This should have been a gentleman's sweep here in 5 for a team like the Winnipeg Jets. It isn't, man. It isn't, and we say this every year. Where they should be able to win games, and they find ways to make things hard.
How do we put this into football terms?
A team that finds it a way to make things hard, like when they're really good.
The Bills.
The Titans, remember the Titans that year? They were the 1 seed. I mean,
yeah.
They picked up some steam.
Comp. The Titans winning the 1 seed. That's
the 1 seed, and then they were out in the wild card because they played a good quarterback in Burrow. And
that's how the Jets fit.
Ryan Tannehill throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, Hellebuck just
Connor
not the
Hellebuck
same
lets up 2
player.
goals.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
the same player in the playoffs.
It's exactly it. That's a concern for me. And if you want a good clip for the week, I mean, there's a lot of other good playoff games. Don't get me wrong. You want a good clip? Look up Tom Wilson versus Josh Anderson. They actually fight into the bench, like literally into the team's bench at the end of the intermission. The referee has to climb over the boards, go into the bench to separate them. It was awesome. Like, just go and watch that if you have time. Terrific stuff. And any other thoughts today?
I'd say Oilers Kings looking to be a fun series. No team has lost a home game yet. I mean, do you think that just benefits the Kings, or is it a new series here with 3 games left, best of 3 essentially?
They got Stiff Skinner. Stuart Skinner is out of the net for the Edmonton Oilers. You got Pickard in there. That's a much better choice for the Edmonton Oilers. I was telling people last year when people were trying to tell me that Stuart Skinner was this top 5 goalie they have now, like, this guy sucks.
He's not good.
This guy sucks. I honestly think I would have a shot to score on Stuart Skinner.
I might be able to. I haven't played ice hockey in my life.
I have, and I think I would have a chance. Like, he couldn't stop a beach ball in Game 1 and Game 2. I mean, like, pucks, they're just like, and I said this before, too, when they play the Bruins, like, and I watch it really, really close, like, he couldn't stop a beach ball. Like, I mean, pucks, they're just, like, on the ice. Like, what? I mean, what are we doing? Like, Stuart Skinner is terrible. Like, I don't get any goalie coach. These goalie coaches on Instagram are like, oh, yeah, Stuart Skinner, this guy's a really good goaltender. Yep, Edmonton's got themselves a gem. Yeah, they got themselves a gem to go down to the AHL because he's terrible. I think Pickard's a much better choice, but even he still sucks.
Not that he's good.
I'm not trying to say
he's serviceable.
I'm not trying to say he's prime Carey Price here. I'm just telling you, he's at least competent enough to make glove saves.
He's not letting in 4 or 5.
And stop pucks that are literally on the ice down 5-hole. Like, I can't. I've had enough of that experience with Stuart Skinner. It's ruining Connor McDavid.
It is.
Big thing, the Edmonton Oilers, travesty of team building. They do not know how to team build at all. They have struggled with this for years and years. How do you not come away with the trade deadline with a goalie? You knew this about Stuart Skinner.
Look at what the Avs did before the trade deadline.
Mackenzie Blackwood, and you're a much better team. And Scott Wedgwood, even if your one gets hot.
There was goalies on the market.
You know Stuart Skinner is a weakness, and you have prime Connor McDavid. What are you doing at the trade deadline? Or are you just going to sit there, put your feet up like this and say, oh, we got McDavid, we got Dry. Oh, we're good. We don't need any help.
We got Drysdale.
Oh, no.
Leading the league in forwards.
Oh, we got Zach Hyman. We pay a lot of money for forwards, but defense.
They still have Nugent
who cares?
Hopkins, man.
Oh, yeah, they've given him an ear.
Dude.
He's good speed, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're gonna put our feet up and say, you know what, Stuart Skinner's good. Stuart Skinner. I mean, he's solid. We have Connor McDavid. He'll take care of it. Yeah, he's Superman. He just rings off his jersey and has the S on his chest.
It's frustrating to watch. I'm not even an Oilers fan.
It's ruining a prime that shouldn't be ruined. He's the best
100%.
athlete in sports, in my opinion. You're ruining his prime.
It's like if Mahomes had the offensive line he had against the Buccaneers every year.
Like, they just kept going back.
They kept the same people every year.
Kept trying to tell themselves that Jawan Taylor's a good right tackle. You keep going and you keep going with that. And then when to make an addition, you go out and you sign someone in free agency for like $1 million. That's what we're talking about here.
It's unbelievable.
Literally, they put their feet up and they say, you know what? We got McDavid. Dreisaitl's good too. We're good. We have 2 top 10 players in the league. We're good. We don't need any help. But you do.
Lord knows, as an Avalanche fan, 2 top 10 players in the league sometimes isn't enough to get it done. I know that. So.
Getting fired up today. I love it. I'm just starting.
Man, I'm excited for hockey tonight. I gotta say.
Me too, man.
I've been for a hockey.
Dallas, Colorado is gonna be a barn tonight down there in Dallas, Texas.
It is, man.
It's crazy to see
one.
that.
I think something like 66% of the teams that win Game 5 win.
And I'm glad Tampa Bay got that game in Florida too. Like,
it makes it interesting. They're tied right now still. So.
I think that's another really interesting game. Like, that could go either way, and that could be a series like a rejuvenizer once again for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm anxious to see that. I have a baseball take too, and I'm going right after your team, man. I mean, I love doing it. It's like my favorite hobby, but they're just giving me all the bulletin board material to go right after them. I mean, the Baltimore Orioles, like, I mean, hate to play devil's advocate here. About a month ago on this podcast, kind of said, you should probably get off to a hot start. I think that would be a good idea, especially after you lost Corbin Burns and you were too cheap to pay him, especially after you haven't paid Gunnar Henderson, especially after you haven't paid Adley Rutschman, especially after you go out and your big pitching addition for the offseason is Charlie Morton. But, it would have been wise for them to get off to a hot start. And granted, they're injured, which is fine, but they haven't gotten off to a hot start. And I am judging this completely unbiased, completely neutral here to the situation. Even though I'm a Red Sox
Right.
fan, I 100% am.
Right.
I 100% am, and he will agree with me on this. The Baltimore Orioles, what they are doing, is that terrible. Brandon Hyde has to go. Like I'm being serious. The talent is there. This team, the talent they have it. Gunnar Henderson's not hitting up to par right now, which is fine. He's coming off an injury. I'll give him a little bit of time. I'm not. Oh, you coming off an injury? Day one, you better hit a home run. No, I'm not going to do that. What I will say is they got to get someone different in there. I think they need a grown up at the manager position. At time and time again, they lose big time games and pivotal moments. They have these great seasons, and then they take it to the postseason and they stink. This time around, they're cold as hell in the regular season, and now they'll try to get hot down the stretch. I don't know. I don't know about this team. If I'm in charge, I'm firing Brandon Hyde. I need someone to go in there, talk to my young guys, get them going. I don't know who that person would be. I'm not saying go out and hire Joe Girardi. I'm just telling you they need somebody else to go in there who's a veteran, who's a grown up, who's won World Series championships, who has that acumen to go in there and tell these guys, how to play, figure it out. And I've seen it before where a team makes a manager change and they'll win the World Series. It has happened. It's happened in all sports, really.
The Phillies a couple years ago went to the World Series after getting rid of Joe Girardi.
So, again, after Joe Girardi, you're right. So I'm not saying go get Joe Girardi. I'm saying go get a veteran manager in there. That's all I'm saying. I think that would be a huge boost for the Baltimore Orioles. In the AL East, still kind of crappy. I mean, the Red Sox aren't playing up to par. So I'm telling you, I'm judging this unbiased. The Rays are a good young team, actually. They have a lot of speed on that team with Chandler Simpson. Chandler Simpson can fly, man. He can absolutely fly.
And he's hitting for average a lot.
I think the Yankees are very beatable in that division. I think Devin Williams. I mean, like, what happened to that guy? He's not even the closer anymore. Like, Pete Alonso ended that guy's career. That's the trend we're heading toward. Like, the Yankees are a one man show. So overall, I still think the Orioles can come back. I think you should just make the change now. But your organization has just stalled everything out. So I don't know if they'll actually make the change necessary to win.
Well, here's the thing, obviously. I think there's a lot of best friends here. Mike Elias and Brandon Hyde basically got hired together, so I very highly doubt them making a managerial change right away, especially looking at the injuries. I think that's the clear scapegoat right now. Grayson Rodriguez, he's out a lot longer than expected. Zach Eflin, they were playing great under Zach Eflin. That's basically the only guy every 5 days that they were getting wins for. Now he's out for a while. They're still trying to get guys. Westbrook hits the IL today. Even the depth, if Gary Sanchez hits the IL today, guys have been banged up in and out of the lineup. And the problem here is obviously you got one name. It's Charlie Moore. The Orioles are a 500 baseball team when Charlie Moore doesn't pitch. They are 0-6 when Charlie Moore pitches. He's got a 10 ERA. He got demoted from being a starter, comes out of the bullpen and gives up a 3-run home run in the second inning he's working. So that's the clear problem right there. He has to get the FA. That dude should not be nowhere near Major League diamond. That is the reason why the Orioles are 10-17 right now, because they'll be 10-11 when Charlie Moore doesn't pitch. So everyone else is trying to give them a chance to win. Dean Kramer, by the way, he's been garbage too. There's no sugarcoating. That's Sugano's been awesome. I'll give him that. He's shutting down the Yankees right now. They're playing really good under Sugano, but that's the only guy every 5 days is giving the Orioles a chance to win. Kate Bovich is still young. He's going really inconsistent. They're starting Cal Gibson tomorrow. I mean, this is just ridiculous. It is the general manager.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Even going all the way back to last year, the trade deadline, trading Stowers and Connor Norby for Rogers. That was kind of the start of the doom for the Orioles. That trade, those two guys are playing phenomenal baseball over there in Miami. Norby and Stowers so far this year. Rogers is injured right now for the Orioles, and they really didn't replace Corbin Burns properly. And obviously, the injuries in the starting lineup, it's something that really watched. Jordan Westbrook's the guy you count on, and ever since he hit the IL last year, the Orioles really started going downhill. He's banged up this year. He officially got placed on the IL, so injuries are killing them. I would definitely make the managerial change. Everything you said is completely correct about the Orioles. It's just no one's playing up to the standards. The thing is, these just young guys are just really deflated right now because the starters are simply not giving them a chance to jump ahead and get off to early hot starts.
Hey, man. Look out for them Rockies. We're getting our 5th win soon.
Hey,
I said that last episode.
I'll continue to be unbiased. I mean, if we're going to call one team, I'll call the Red Sox too. I mean, what is this?
Nobody's playing well in the AL East right now, and it's wide open. I mean, the Orioles even sitting back here, they're around 5.5 games out of first place by being 10-17, third worst record in all of baseball. So the Rays are playing better baseball lately. The Blue Jays have kind of come back down to earth ever since they had a little bit of a hot start. The Yankees are playing good, but not great, and the Red Sox are around 500, pretty average so far. So it's still a wide open division. Whoever wants to let's get our things together and let's get hot, that's probably going to be the team that takes that division. But, in all baseball, really looking at the American League, Tigers are off to a very good start, but it's still pretty sluggish by a lot of teams.
Yeah, I have a closing take today. Again, I politics and sports, I try to keep them like two distant things. Like, and I think you guys would agree with me on that. I just don't like how the Eagles, going to the White House with Saquon Barkley, hanging out with the current president, and Jalen Hurts deciding not to go. How people are just bashing them for it. I don't understand that at all. And I hope you guys can agree with that. I just don't understand that. I wanted to provide it for transparency's sake. I don't fall for politics. I hate talking about it most of the time because it's just so divisive right now in this country. But I just think it's ridiculous that people are like bashing Saquon for hanging out with the current president. And Jalen Hurts isn't going, so people are going to take that personally. Like, if you want to make the choice to go to the White House, you go. If you don't want to hang out with the president, then don't go.
Listen, I think it's a different thing. I don't think it's like political for Saquon. We saw this guy playing around a golf with Obama, like a couple. I mean,
respecting the office.
I've seen that before. Like, and Jalen Hurts, he's been a bit of a figurehead, for black rights a little bit. So I don't think it's a bad thing that he's not going or whatever. But I think people should just respect whatever.
Oh yeah,
whatever these athletes want to do, just respect it, man. I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's their choice. They're grown men. They can do it.
Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is now a top 20 quarterback on my list because he didn't go to the White House. Like, oh god, get over it. The Karens, they are just.
That's where you got it from.
I got it from like three different people, like groups of people. The Steeler Karens with Will Howard. I know like on Twitter, you people that are messaging me about Will Howard, you're laughing, like sending these messages saying that Will Howard's going to be this like superstar quarterback. And I know the Karens out there about this, like either side, like insufferable. Like it's awful. Like. Oh yeah, you're gonna bash him because he's hanging out with the president. As if you got the invite with the president, you would go. I almost guarantee that you would go. And if you got offered to go on a private jet and play some golf, I think you would go too. So just want to put it out there for transparency's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world where everyone just likes to cry for whatever, and I think we just need to normalize letting people cry. Everybody just tries to treat everybody with respect. Watch out. No, if they have their feelings hurt, well, they have their feelings hurt. Who cares, honestly? We have so many different complicated problems in the world that, people want to complain about Saquon Barkley hanging out with Donald Trump when there's terrorist attacks and stuff going on all over the world. Obviously, this is a Fox News. That's where I'll leave it. But people, if they want to cry, they can cry. Who cares?
I mean, I just don't get it. And Liverpool won the Premier League, by the way. You want to give thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, best team in the Premier League all season long. Really relative ease. Arsenal simply didn't have the number 9 to keep the consistency up with them. So congratulations to Liverpool. Well deserved. Very impressive after Jurgen Klopp leaves last season. Liverpool, pretty much everyone wrote him off from winning the Premier League. Everyone thought it was going to be City automatically. Obviously, they benefited from City having their biggest down year in quite some time. But, good job for Liverpool. They definitely deserved it. Champions League preview a little bit coming up. Barcelona, obviously, in there. You have PSG taking on Arsenal. Barcelona against Inter. Two very interesting matches, I think. You look, obviously, the first one, PSG-Arsenal. Two teams looking to win the first ever Champions League. That's going to be the big storyline. One of those two will get to the final. I'm rooting for whoever, honestly, comes out of there. I mean, I'm a United fan, so Arsenal winning would be kind of painful. But, PSG, I think they play phenomenal football really all year long, both domestically and in the Champions League. Arsenal, I mean, after what they did to Madrid, they can beat absolutely anyone in the world. Barcelona, there may not be a better team in form right now in the whole world after they just once again beat Madrid for the third straight time this season. Sorry, AJ, but Barcelona just keep doing it over and over again. And then Inter, they've been a phenomenal team in Italy for quite some time. They're also playing phenomenal football in the Champions League, especially after just beating Bayern. So it's going to be two great matches. I think anyone can really come out of it really as champion of the Champions League.
Weak Premier League winner, but the Premier League as a whole this year is weak. So.
Force is in the top 4. City's barely trying to scrape in there.
City, who's not trying to lose games, but they stink. They absolutely stink. Are going to be safe in Europe. That's the point where it's a 1-point difference. I think 61-60.
I mean, normally Spurs and United, they haven't been very good at the top of the Premier League consistently, but those two teams are at the bottom half of the Premier League this season. Simply not a lot of competitiveness from those teams who supposedly at least give some teams have a hard time.
What a shock. Man United and Tottenham at the bottom of the Premier League.
But they're in the Europa League semifinals. Both have a chance to still play European football next year as long as they win the Europa League.
In the G League, they're in the Europa League. So.
But if they win it, they're in the Champions League. So
so they can just get their belt right away by a real powerhouse. So that'll be exciting for everyone involved when Manchester United loses.
Right.
Gosh. Okay. All right. I think we just about hit on everything we had to today. And did I leave anything else on the board? I think I touched
We're all
about
good.
everything. All right, let's wrap it up, boys.
From Trevor Cox.
Sebastian Fryer.
May J. Gonzalez saying so long from the desert.